Welcome, dear students, once again. And here we are going to study the poem from unit number 6, Animals. The audio link of the same poem was there along with the part 2 of the 100 races, and there I'm sure you could have listened to the text in continuation with the 100 races part 2. Am I right? There was no separate link, and I have shared with you one more link that is there for the next unit, Glimpses of India. You can use that link and listen to the text Glimpses of India, in which there are 3 parts. Fine. But today here, as we have already listened to this poem, which is all about animals. I think this is the third poem we have come across in this textbook that is related to the animals. The first was a tiger in the zoo. Do you remember?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
2 tigers, one from zoo and another from forest, were compared with each other. Then the next was about the animal sound. It was really a humorous poem in which it was mentioned that you can't do anything but just witnessing what these wild animals are doing with you. And that way the poet had tried to create a humor in the poem. But in this poem, Animals, what are we going to learn? Can anyone share your views about the poem if you have listened to it or read? It's very simple. And in many such lessons, we have studied the same thing. But here the poet is trying to convey that message through the animals. And he prefers the animals than humans. Why? What made him think so? That's what we are going to learn here. Anybody wants to say something about it? I'll firstly read out a summary for you all so that you can get an idea. Then I'll play a video for you all so that you can watch an animation and also listen to the poem again with the content and the stanzas with some animated illustration for your better understanding. In the introduction of the poem itself, we can say that the poet tells us that he feels more at home with animals than humans, whom he finds complicated and false. So here he finds animals' company better than the human beings, because he says and he finds all human beings as complicated and false. Why it is mentioned? Why does he think so? That is only elaborated with some examples. And the poet Walt Whitman has shown the comparison between human beings and animals in this poem. He has pointed out the evil present inside the human brain, which he thinks animals don't have. And that is the reason, or that's why we can say that the poet thinks that animals are much better than human beings. So in what way he has elaborated, that we'll firstly watch in a video and then I'll try to tell you in the summary and also explain it in detail. So what do you want first, a video or shall I firstly tell you the summary? I think summary should be told so that you can understand the video better. So I'm reading out a summary for you all. In the poem Animals, the poet has described his will to become an animal because he thinks animals are far better than human beings. We also realize the same sometimes. If somebody cheats us, or if somebody we find greedy or full of jealousy against each other, we always say that animals are better than such people. That animals at least don't trouble others. This is the way the poet has tried to tell us that human beings are greedy and full of jealousy against each other. But animals are calm and self-contained. Animals are happy with what they have. They never complain about miseries and sorrows. On the other hand, human beings complain about their miseries. I don't have this, I don't have that, and how can I do this? How can I, that way only they just go on complaining. Some have that complaining kind of attitude. Whatever and wherever they are, they will just go on complaining. They won't be happy with what they have. Like comparing these kinds of people with animals, the poet agrees and says that the animals are better than these kinds of people. They give more importance to the rich and strong people, stay restless because of their wrongdoing and run behind the luxurious things of this world. And we always give the importance, being human, to rich and such human beings whom we find that they will help us later. Out of greed or out of some selfishness, self-centeredness, being self-content, we always respect these kinds of people and just run after them in order to get some needs or some of our wishes fulfilled. And we are always there wishing luxurious things from the world be purchased by ourselves only. So that makes us more greedy. And you know that the nature can fulfill your need, but not at all your greed. So whereas animals are honest about their relations and don't give importance to a particular class, they live a life which is full of honesty and less of greed and jealousy. So some of these things are there. It can be again a part of, a debate or an argument that this is not applicable. But here we should try to understand the view the poet has tried to convey through these stanzas. So here now I'm going to play a video. You please watch it carefully and you will understand the message that the poet wants to convey us through this poem. So would you like to watch a video, dear students?
Yes, sir.
Very
Yes,
good.
sir.
Here it is.
अब तो एजुकेशन मिनिस्ट्री ने भी बोल दिया है कि बच्चों को स्कूल में कोडिंग सिखाई जाए। मैं तो कहता हूँ लोहा गर्म है, मार दो आज ही whitehatjunior.com.
Now let us look at a poem called Animals, written by Walt Whitman. CBSE Class 10, Poetry Chapter 1. Walt Whitman, born May 31st, 1819, died March 26th, 1892, was an American poet, essayist, and journalist. Also
I think I could turn and live with animals. I think I could turn and live with animals. They are so placid and self-contained. I stand and look at them long and long. They do not sweat and whine about their condition. They do not lie awake in the dark and I think I could turn and live with animals. They are so placid and self-contained. I stand and look at them long and long. They do not sweat and whine about their condition. They do not lie awake in the dark and weep for their sins. They do not make me sick discussing their duty to God. Not one is dissatisfied, not one is demented with the mania of owning things. Not one kneels to another, nor to his kind that lived thousands of years ago. Not one is respectable or unhappy over the whole earth. So they show their relations to me, and I accept them. They bring me tokens of myself. They evince them plainly in their possession. I wonder where they get those tokens. Did I pass that way huge times ago and negligently drop them?
Yes, dear students, could you watch it, or I think you faced some technical issue? I'm going to play it again without caption on. Already there it is in the video, so no need of another caption. But you please keep your textbook open where you can listen to this form and also watch the video and can put your finger in your textbook where it is being read, right?
I could turn and live with animals. They are so placid and I think I could turn and live with animals. They are so placid and self-contained. I stand and look at them long and long. They do not sweat and whine about their condition. They do not lie awake in the dark and weep for their sins. They do not make me sick discussing their duty to God. Not one is dissatisfied, not one is demented with the mania of owning things. Not one kneels to another, nor to his kind that lived thousands of years ago. Not one is respectable or unhappy over the whole earth. So they show their relations to me, and I accept them. They bring me tokens of myself. They evince them plainly in their possession. I wonder where they get those tokens. Did I pass that way huge times ago and negligently drop them?
Yes, dear students, could you watch it well now? I think better than the
Yes, sir.
right? So it's
Yes,
very
sir.
true that here the poet has told us that he feels more at home with animals. He means more comfortable with the animals than the human. You know why? Because he finds the human beings more complicated and false as compared to the animals. That's what he conveys. But it is not all about all human beings, but it is all about those, those who are always having some complaining attitude. They always find some faults and they misbehave with others, and they do a mistake and also ask to forgive for it. And that's the difference here. The poet has tried to bring it to our notice. We'll see now here with the first stanza. What does the poet say? I'm reading the first one. I think I could turn and live with animals. They are so placid and self-contained. I stand and look at them long and long. So in the very first stanza here, the poet has tried to compare animals with human beings. How? He says that I think I could turn and live with animals. They are so placid and self-contained. The poet is describing animals as much comfortable than the animals, than the human beings. You know why? Because according to the poet, human beings are self-contained. They are selfish. They are self-centered. They just think of themselves. But animals never do think of only themselves. But they are there always in groups, and they think of each other, saying that they are placid and self-contained. So in this first stanza, the poet is trying to convey us that unlike humans, animals don't complain of any misery. They never cry out loud like humans do to show what they have lost. They never stay awake in the night crying in repentance for their wrongdoing. And so here we can say that human beings are little difficult for this poet to live with than the animals. The second line of this stanza, he has mentioned, I stand and look at them long and long. You know why he mentions here that he stand and look at them long and long? Because he likes their company. Whose company does the poet like? Yes, students?
Animals.
Yes. And as in the animation you could watch that he is there among the animals under the tree and looking at the animals long and long. Means for long of time, for a long period of course. Then he mentions they do not sweat and whine about their condition. You know, we human beings, we always blame our conditions. I have no money, so I cannot do this. You know, I'm born in a poor family, so I cannot achieve any higher summit in my life. So they just find excuses. Who? Human beings. And so here the poet says that they do not sweat and whine about their condition. Animals never do like this. Wherever they are born, they are happy there. They just try to follow the company they have in the forest, in the jungles, in whatever circumstances they are in, and they are happy there. They do not lie awake in the dark and weep for their sins. And you know, animals, they do not lay awake in the dark. You know why it is mentioned that human beings, they can't sleep. You know why? Because they are doing something wrong, that is called sins. They trouble others and then at night they cannot sleep. They have some greed of money and for that they cannot sleep. So there are a number of reasons that the human beings are just running after money and so they can't sleep. And so they are weeping for their sins. Something they did wrong and they are weeping for that. They are regretting for what they have done wrong in their life. But animals don't do like this. So here, what do you think they refer to? And what do you think I refer to?
They refers to animals.
They refers to animals.
Very good. And I refer to?
I refers to the poet.
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 Very good. So what do you think the first line from the first stanza? They are so placid and self-content. Who are so placid and self-content?
Animals.
Animals.
Very good. So everywhere it is
Animal.
number 1 and 2, there it is mentioned that they refers to animals. Very good. Then the third line from second stanza, they do not make mystic discussing their duty to God. And you know, we human beings, we should worship this God. This is our duty to God. This is our obligation to this God. For Lord Ganesha, we should do this. For Saraswati Ma, we should do this. And in other religions also, there are many duties assigned to the people that they should carry out. But do any animals, you know, worship any God? Do they discuss
No.
about religions? But here we are there, human beings. I am Hindu, I should worship this God. Being Muslim, he or she should do like that for his or her God. And that way we differentiate between ourselves, saying Hindu, saying Muslim, saying Sikh, saying Parsi and all. We have differentiated ourselves. And that had made tremendous difference between human beings. And here the poet says that they means animals. They do not make any such discussion. And this is all called as sick discussing by the poet. Isn't it sick? Should we talk about the, you know, it is always said that people with low IQ, they discuss about the people, poor people, they discuss about the other persons. Average mind of people, they discuss about the events that this happened, that happened. But those who are smart and intelligent, those kind of people always discuss ideas. You know, what they can do better way in their life for the sake of society, for the sake of nation. So they discuss ideas. And here is the sick discussion that is referring to about not just God in that way, that we should just worship God. But here it means that we have differentiated ourselves in different kinds of religions and in the name of God, right? And also the casteism. Not one is dissatisfied, not one is demented with the mania of owning things. So here one refers to human being or animal.
Animals.
Yeah.
Animals.
Good. So no animal is dissatisfied that I don't have this. It happened today that it rained heavily and I got completely wet. Did any dog came to you and say this? No. They are animals. Wherever they are, wherever they find shelter, they are happy with that. If they don't find, they will just go on moving here and there in search of refuge or shelter, but they will never complain and they will never be found dissatisfied. It is another thing that they cannot show their feelings or neither they can talk. But don't think much about the poet, what the poet has mentioned here. Otherwise, you will be confused. Don't just try to create a confusion or any argument here. Here, what the poet means to convey, that we should understand. Otherwise, it will be again a part of an argument or also a part of debate. So no one is dissatisfied. So animals are not ever dissatisfied, but we human beings are always dissatisfied. We are never satisfied with ourselves. But there is again thing that we should be satisfied and we should not be dissatisfied. So in what way we should be satisfied? Whatever we do, we should do honestly. And in that also, if we are not getting success, yes, be satisfied with your efforts. Don't think of success only. Then when you should be dissatisfied, you should be dissatisfied when you are not making your 100%. When you are not putting your 100% efforts, that time you can be dissatisfied. It is just like then if we believe in luck or not, if we believe in God or not. Like that, how the poet has compared the animals with human beings and how the human beings have been compared with animals. That is a very big issue, but we are not going to think about the poet or the content here in each aspect or each point of view. But simply we will try to understand whatever here the poet has tried to give us with the help of their literal meaning. So what do you think here the word demented is? And what is that quality of dementia? Can anyone share?
It can be abnormal behavior.
Mental illness.
Yes. It is a syndrome in which there is a deterioration in memory, thinking, behavior, and the ability to perform everyday activities. And those people are called demented. Means behaving irrationally due to anger, distress, or excitement. But in the animals, we never find these things happening, right? And so here the poet says that no animal is demented with the mania of owning things. That is a greed. I want this, I want that, I want more and more and more. We just wish. We are never satisfied. So the poet has mentioned that animals are not dissatisfied, as we human beings are always dissatisfied out of our greed for wanting and wanting everything. And we are also demented with the mania of owning things. I want this, I should possess this, I should have car, I should have that kind of car, I should have helicopter, I should have aeroplane, I should have this kind of bungalow and all. We always wish. That is the greed. That is in fact not a need. Not one mills to another. And when out of our greed we want to get something and we don't get, then we go to someone, touch their feet and asking for their blessings or their grace, that by the grace of you it may happen, so please help us. And we just go and kneel before them, put our knees on ground, asking like the beggar does. That way we beg for anything that we want. But animals are never found doing so, nor do his kind that lived thousands of years ago. And nor there are any such kinds of animals that we have come across in thousands of years ago also. So the poet says, not to his kind that lived thousands of years ago. Means any kind of animal have not ever been found begging for something, just out of greed, not for need. Otherwise, we will say, sir, if dog is hungry, and even if we hit it or hit the dog with a stone, it comes back. It's out of need because the dog is hungry, and so it's coming again and again, despite you are hitting it also with the stone. But human beings, it never happens just for the need. Sometimes it happens, but out of greed, many people they go to some great personalities, so-called, we can say, and ask, not just ask, they beg for something to be given to them. In the next line, the poet says, not one is respectable or unhappy over the whole earth. And here again he says that no animal is unhappy over the whole earth. And he also mentions that not one is respectable. So what do you understand from here? Respectable?
Sir, means that everyone are equal.
Yes, very good. Here he wants to say that we are all equal, but human beings have been separated in the name of poverty and rich, from the in the name of casteisms, in the name of religions, and there are various ways, several things that we have always compared one another and have differentiated one from others. But in animals, it doesn't happen. They are all equal. They are all living happily together. And so here the poet says that he enjoys the company of animals than the human beings. Then, so they show their relations to me and I accept them. And you know, if you are loving any animal, even if there is a cat or a dog at your home, the more you love, they are closer to you and they are never dishonest with you. The most important thing. You always believe them and you know they are not going to betray you. They are not going to cheat you. That trust is there in the relationship between you and your animals. And so here the poet says that they, animals show their relations to me and I accept them easily because there is nothing to worry. They are not going to harm the poet. And so he could easily believe in them. They bring me tokens of myself. They evince them plainly in their possession. And you know, whatever they have, that is more than enough for them. And it brings for the poet a token of himself in which, you know, he remembers that he should be like the animals, as they are satisfied, as they are happy with what they have, as they are not greedy at all. That way, as they do not wish to possess more things with them, the poet wishes that he should be like those kinds of animals. And at last, he mentions here that I wonder where they get those tokens. Did I pass that way huge times ago and negligently drop them? And here he says, he will be wondered if he comes to know that where those animals have got those tokens of himself. Is the qualities he possesses and he finds in himself, that of honesty, of modesty, of equality, integrity, brotherhood, and so on. These good qualities he finds in himself. And so he finds those qualities in animals. And so he wishes that he should be like those animals, and those animals are also possessing the same qualities that he has. And he so wondered that where they get those tokens. And he asked himself the question, did I pass that way huge times ago and negligently drop them? And he is finding there that if those animals have got those qualities from himself only, that he might have passed that way to the animals in a huge times ago, negligently, not purposely, but indirectly it might have happened. So here is a description given about a poet, that Walt Whitman was born in the year 1819 till 1892. Is a major figure in early American poetry. In an age when all poetry was rhymed and metrical, Whitman made a break with tradition and wrote a revolutionary new kind of poetry in free verse. So you can see this poem is a kind of free verse. There is no rhyming scheme followed, nor there is any poetic devices followed, as that time in the era that all the poets were writing only with some rhymes and metrical kinds of verses. But this is the poem you can find he has written differently as a revolutionary new kind of poetry, that is a free verse. He was a non-conformist in all respects, including his social rights. And he was never like that kind of a person who could follow one another, what people will say. No. He was going on his way, the way he wanted, the way he wanted to live his life. And he was least cared about anybody if the people may go against him or not. He never think of the other people. So I'll again read out a summary for you all so that you can understand. Yes, yeah.
Sir, so this poem will not have any rhyme scheme.
No. It is a free verse kind of poetry. Okay, I'll again repeat the summary so that you can understand, because if we are thinking about the poem from different aspects, and if we are comparing different kinds of things that we come across with the animals, then we don't find that this is true. But if we just try to concentrate on what the poet wants to convey, we can easily understand. So what the poet wants to convey through this poem, that I'm going to tell you again. Here in this poem, the poet has described his will to become an animal. He says now that I wish myself, of that kind. So here he has mentioned his will to be an animal because he thinks that animals are far better than human beings. In what way? In the context of the bad qualities we possess. What are they? Like human beings are greedy and full of jealousy against each other. But animals don't have these qualities. But animals are calm and self-contained. Placid. They are very calm and quiet. Have you found any dog angry and scolding another? No. Then what dogs are barking at each other? That's what I'm trying to tell. We should not think of this poem on ground basis. Otherwise, you will find it very contrasting with each other. But think of the animals that way, that they are very calm and self-contained. But people are never human beings. The animals are happy with what they have, right? But human beings, they are not. They never complain about miseries and sorrows. Yes, but we are always there to complain for one or the other thing. They give more importance to the rich and strong people. Who? We being people. We give importance to the rich and strong people. On the other hand, animals, they found equality among themselves. And as we give importance to others, we stay restless because of our wrongdoings and run behind the luxurious things of this world. And we do something wrong, and again we regret for that. Animals don't do wrong, and neither they regret for anything. Neither they have any casteisms among themselves. Neither they have differentiated themselves in the name of religions. You may find their species, but species are also created by us only. We have only sorted them in different categories. In science, you must have studied, especially in biology. So whereas animals are honest about their relations and don't give importance to a particular class, as we people give, that this is higher class, this is middle class, or these are rich people, they should be respected, these are politicians, we should go and respect them. No, it doesn't happen among the animals. They are all equal, and they live a life which is full of honesty and less of greed and jealousy. So if you think of this poem at the point, keeping in view the message to be given by the poet, you can easily understand. Otherwise, it may create a chaos for yourself only. Right? This is 1:30. We will again discuss. Today I have only spoken from my side. Tomorrow I will ask you to speak from your side, and then we will discuss this poem again in detail. Alright, dear students? If possible, I'll also share the question and their answers for your better understanding, so that you will come up with your own doubt, your own way of understanding about the poet. You please frankly and openly put your opinion. We'll decide, right? And that way, it will help us understand and comprehend the poem in a better way. Right, dear students?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So that's it for today. Thank you so much. Have a great day ahead.
Thank you, sir.
Bye, dear students.
Thank you, sir.
Someone wants to say something? Shreya? Yes, Shreya?
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir. So please share the recording of today's session.
Okay. You share with me your email ID. I'll share with you. Fine, dear Shreya.
Sir, can you also,
Yes, Khushi.
sir, can you send some reference video or a text for the making of a scientist?
Yes, yes, surely, dear. Hmm? If possible, I'll
Anthony
also
for
play
hack
it here.
driver.
Pardon?
Hack driver.
Hack driver also you want? Fine. I'll share. Definitely.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. Thank you once again, all of you, and have a great day ahead. Take care, everyone. Bye. Anybody else want to say something? Fine. Okay. See you tomorrow.